Hola, buenas tardes. Continuando con el programa, nuestra tercera ponencia del día de hoy, a nombre del señor embajador de la UNESCO, Jorge Herrera Ramos, presidente del World Congress, The World of Neurosurgery in Your Fingertips, quien agradecemos por la organización de este magno evento, así como a la doctora Deyanira Capi, presidenta de nuestro capítulo del Instituto Politécnico Nacional, al doctor Salim Abdraouf, presidente de la Walter E. Dandy Society, al doctor Babak Kateb, presidente de la Sociedad de Brain Mapping and Therapeutics and Brain Mapping Foundation, todos ellos vicepresidentes del comité organizador, y al doctor Parmenes Guadarrama Ortiz, director del Centro Especializado en Neurocirugía y Neurociencias México. Y es para mí un honor presentar a la doctora Hira Burhan, quien es editora ejecutiva de la revista de investigación Engage. Hoy nos deleitará con su ponencia llamada Introduction to AMSRS and the Neurosurgery Coach Program for Medical Students and Residents. Dr. Salim.
Thank you, Andre. Again, thank you to your team for the exceptional work. I welcome all of our audience from around the world for our Saturday session for this afternoon and this evening, depending where in the world you are. We have a very special speaker this afternoon, Professor Roberto Herrera, that will be speaking to us in about half an hour to 40 minutes. Before then, we have a very special talk. As you know, we have introduced major professors and leaders in the field of neurosurgery throughout this Congress. We felt it was important to also give you a glimpse of some of the younger people who have been supporting the field of neurosurgery around the world. As you know, with the Dandy Society, we have clubs for medical students all over the world, and this has been an important initiative. Today, we're going to introduce to you Dr. Hira Burhan from Pakistan, and she's going to give us a little bit overview of some of the programs that she's been involved with and she has developed herself. And she's going to introduce AMSRS program and the neurosurgery coach program that she has done in her country. She has worked with the various organizations in Asia to help develop these programs. She is currently pursuing a career in neurosurgery. She's actually in Canada right now and getting ready to start a career training in neurosurgery. But during this interval time between medical school and residency, we want to hear from her to understand some of the issues, challenges that she was part in developing in Pakistan. Dr. Burhan, welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are watching in the world. It's an honor, Professor Abdurrauf, to be invited on this platform. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Professor. I would like to take this opportunity to talk about some of the initiatives we started as medical students and the support we have had throughout and the growth we have discovered in all this journey. I'll just start right away with my talk. Okay. So this is the title of my talk. It's more like an introduction to our society, the AMSRS, the Neurosurgery Coach Program for medical students and residents, and followed by our further activities, which will be a part of this presentation. This is a very common scenario for most of the medical students who have graduated, who are in the process of graduation, the excitement, the happiness of this transition. But at the same time, you face a lot of confusion into which pathway to pursue, what to do next, what career fields to choose. So this is a very big dilemma. And unfortunately, the training which we get in medical school is more like a rigorous academics rather than focus in clinical aspects. I would rather say the exposure is not as much as to develop an interest in a certain field. So you're not really sure what to do next when you graduate. For this, I think this is very important to develop an initial interest to find out what your passion is, be it neurosurgery, be it gynecology, be it family medicine. It has to be your initial interest, which I believe comes only through exposure. And the more you get exposed to the fields, the more you know about the goods and the bads, the lifestyle you need to evolve in, the things you need to learn, the things you need to adapt. So that comes with exposure. And if you don't have an exposure early in medical school, then I think it's a big problem to decide further into your study, in your career life. This is a very common situation in you end up in medical school, you graduate even, you even start residency. But what happens is like, this is what the situation is. There's a very big gap. It's a broken bridge between, I would say, since this is a neurosurgical conference, so I would rather focus on neurosurgery, between a neurosurgeon and the student, the observer, the trainee. So this gap has to be eliminated in order to have a full exposure about what really is neurosurgery about. This is a very exciting email. Most people are awaited for. They get matched, they get a residency, but most of the time it's this cycle which they're entering into. It's rather a repetition of the daily routine. You do what has to be done on a daily basis, and you are kind of limited to what you are being asked to do. This comes with a lot of problems and equal opportunities as well, if one is to think about it in that way. The situation is very different in the East and the West. In the East, most of the residents are loaded with patients. We don't have proper infrastructures. We have lots of patient loads. There's hard time to do research. There's, I mean, it's so exhausting that it ends up in like a continuous burnout machine. The West itself has its own problems as well. So these are some of the, I would say, problems faced by young neurosurgeons, residents, new residents, medical school graduates, that when they get into this field, they face long working hours, increased patient loads, the fear of making mistakes, the motivation kind of ends. And most importantly, you don't have a coach, you don't have a mentor. This problem is increasing now because we have, by the time we have so many graduates, we have so many people entering into this field that it often becomes difficult to coach them, to guide them, and to mentor them, which is really important in fields like, I mean, in any field, but in neurosurgery, you definitely need to have a mentor with you. This is a very interesting start. I remember John Bennett from Neurosurgical TV, and it was right after my graduation, and we were talking, and we just had this idea of starting some online teaching resources. It was very kind of him to share his ideas, and we were just talking, and we just suddenly came up with this Neurosherpas, because at that time, Nepal, Professor Aib Cherian had been very active in educating people, neurosurgeons and residents. So Sherpas are basically Nepalese hikers who hike the Himalayas, and they're very persistent and motivated there, and they face harsh conditions. So Neurosherpas is kind of a word for those who wish to succeed in ASM neurosurgery. So this is a very beginning of what we did. So soon after that, we started a series of lectures, including Women in Neurosurgery, Super Sundays, our online talks. These are some of the very initial talks, like back in 2016 and 17, in which we were already in the beginning of doing all this. And at that time, Zoom was not that popular, so Google Hangouts was the thing. And now I think every other thing is happening on Zoom. So then it was in March 2018 that we finally got this idea into shape, and thanks to Professor Katu, Professor Cherian, and the support of the ACNS Executive Board, the AMSRS was accredited as a full society under the auspices of ACNS. So this was a very huge achievement for us to actually work under the umbrella of ACNS. We continued with our programs, mostly online webinars. At that time, we had Professor Yuha, Professor Salman, and a lot of good we had a lot of good support throughout all these webinars. So it was very encouraging at each step. Soon we gathered support from the Fujita alumni in Japan, and this went on further until in May 2018, we were able to establish scholarship for young neurosurgeons, residents who would like to participate in conferences like the CFN Review, organized by Professor Nabil. So this was another milestone which we achieved. One of the biggest development which we did was to organize a full-fledged conference focused on medical students in Nepal who actually took part in this, and we received a wonderful response from all of them. They saw dissections, they saw a lot of anatomy by Professor Igor, and they had participated in lectures. They spoke, they took part in what actually was happening. So it was the first time ever we were seeing medical students engage so rapidly in a neurosurgical conference. And this was very encouraging for us. The second conference of the same kind was held last year in December 2019, again in Nepal. So this was another achievement by us. We have organized courses for residents, and the best part about this is that they have been free of cost, because money is often an issue when it comes to training, and it was offered free of cost, and that is what our idea is, to minimize the expenses for learning and provide the maximum exposure we can in whatever resources we have. So this was a full-fledged course, and I think it was another success, and people have been requesting for another one. We will soon plan this. Now, coming to the neurosurgery coach is an idea, and again, like the AMSRS, it focuses on mentoring, focuses on coaching, and not only neurosurgery, but personality development and strategical plannings and mastering the skills. So it's all an amalgamation. So, excuse me for that. Okay, so present day neurosurgery is, again, as we started in the first slide, it's more like a static cycle. People are not able to improvise. They're not able to think out of the box. They have to go by the same rules, and they have to go by the same routine every day. So this has been static, and this is a very dangerous situation, because we are not growing, we are not improving. This has resulted in increased reliance on sophisticated gadgets as well, because we tend to often ignore our anatomy. We tend to often ignore the basic surgical skills, and we rather go on focusing how to use the gadgets which we get in our neurosurgical OR. So that has to stop, and you need to have a core training in your surgical skills. So this is another idea to break the stagnancy, and we have to revive the training. And with this initiative, we will not only impart neurosurgical training, but also a platform to new ideas and innovations, which can include a new idea of a microscope, new innovation of instruments, new innovation of navigations, and whatnot. So you have to be an open-minded person in that way. So this is providing a platform for ideas to pour in. We can work on them, we can talk about them. So this is the core concept. And the most interesting part is it's not only focused on residents, fellows, but it is also involving medical students to get them the good exposure. These are some of our core ideas which we need to convey. This is the basic component of the neurosurgery coach program, microsurgical skills. And we are also working in close conjunction with the minimally invasive spine techniques for the dissections, and of course, anatomy. This is something very different from the traditional neurosurgical training. Apart from just being a neurosurgeon, you have to excel in some skill sets, be it situational awareness, be it your hand coordination using chopsticks, single sports, yoga, it's very important to have this this combination of art in you, this combination of qualities in you, in order to be a good person overall, rather than be a good neurosurgeon. So fitness, art, chess, whatever, photography, whatever inspires you. So we are there to help. Another interesting thing about neurosurgery coach is the concept of hybrid neurosurgery, in which we are involving not only the neurosurgeons, but also researchers, writers, creative minds, entrepreneurs, and engineers who can come together on one platform. And you can only guess what can come out of this. You can get so many ideas on modern techniques, modern instruments, including our most recent development was a hyperscope. It has, I think, been published recently in the UNESCO Digital Anatomy textbook. I'll share it once it's out. And these concepts can be, if you start with little, you can go so, in the long way, you can go so far. So hybrid neurosurgery is another key component of neurosurgery coach. And we are still working to join the ends and make things go further. These are our current developments. We have been lucky to have so much support around the world. In Africa, we have 3 centers. In Central Asia, Professor Chingiz is taking care of the neurosurgery coach global chapters. China, we have good support by Professor Kui. India, Professor Parthiban, and Dr. Ike now has moved to India, Russia, and South America. And we are very keen to expand this further to USA and parts of Europe and Australia maybe. So, I mean, we are open for any support that we can get. So these are some of the key features which we are offering. It's like a 1-month rigorous training at our global centers. Online webinars for distance learning, which can happen at now during the pandemic, and which we are doing actually. ACNS fellowship completion certificates at the end of the course, because all of our centers are accredited with ACNS. So this will be an ACNS fellowship automatically. And since we do not want a crowd, we want to have a one-on-one mentorship. So this is going to be limited to 4 trainees per month, and you have to pass an exam to get a certificate. These are some of the things which we improvised during the pandemic, and we continued, and we're still continuing to have daily lectures almost during this time when we are all at home. So this was some of our highlights from the daily dose of neurosurgery during the pandemic times. And we had Manuel. He is also very enthusiastic and very keen and hardworking resident. Now he is a very important part of our team. Andrea, he's from Italy, and he's also a very important part of our team. Ignite is another concept which was recently conceived, and this is a journal. Unlike the traditional journals, it's an encyclopedia more, and it is developing as a learning tool for any neurosurgeon or medical student who wishes to learn neurosurgery as in a panoramic view. For instance, our first issue was based on the frontal lobe, and we just focused on the frontal lobe intra-axial lesions. And the way it's different is that we had an anatomy chapter associated with cases, and the cases were discussed in detail through an online webinar, which was also a part of the journal. So in this way, if you get to study the frontal lobe, you are getting to know the anatomy, you're getting to know the approaches, you're getting to know the difference in opinions from the experts. So this was an idea in which we discussed the intra-axial lesions, and then we followed this up with a webinar. And this is open to changes. This is open to any amendments later on. So this is not a very strict journal. It's rather a compilation of all the knowledge which we can give you. This was our second issue, and it covered petrolateral meningiomas. And more than that, we had a think tank, we had a flashcard section, we had a photography section, and we had some good trivia. So it's a good read now. This is some of the, this is how it looks. This is how we have tried to put the things together. And so these are the cases with the contributors like Professor Pablo from Spain, Ari Chaco from India, and they have been a really good help in compiling all these for us. We were lucky to have a special issue on Professor Yuha as well, and he has been a good support for all our works. Some of the renowned neurosurgeons have put into our journals their words about the experiences in neurosurgery, their experiences with Professor Yuha, and I think this is a very good read for all those who wish to pursue neurosurgery, who wish to excel in this career field. So do check out our October issue, in which we have very good home-taking messages by all these eminent neurosurgeons. Some of the tips shared by Professor Yuha in his issue were that we need to have a habit of reading and learning the anatomy and training your skills, selecting your heroes that could be your mentors, and keeping yourself fit, regular exercises, yoga, and eating healthy. Be like a medical doctor. You have to take responsibility and learn your best way of doing your surgery and open doors to microsurgery. Do research, keep your records, follow up on your patients, write, publish, and know your people and the atmosphere you're working in. So these are some of the messages. I think this goes for all of us, medical students, residents, fellows, senior surgeons, everyone. So this is a very important slide, I think. We are now looking forward to having 3 more issues coming up. We already had the webinars for them and they are all in line for publications. This is our new Neurosurgery Code Center, which has now moved from Nepal to India in Karad. Once the situation is a bit settled and we have travel restrictions lifted, so we are soon about to start the fellowships again and in all our global chapters, including medical student electives. So this is just, we are just waiting for the right time. And of course, we need all of you to join us. You can contact us on our email, be a contributor for our work, be a reviewer for Ignite, an editor for Ignite. We need we need masters, we need people who can really contribute with their skills for us. So this is not only just for neurosurgeons, this is for a platform for every other person who thinks that their skills needs to be highlighted. So that's all, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Hira Burhan, for that nice review of the activities that have been carried out by you and your colleagues in Asia. This is great work, and we encourage that strongly all over the world. It's been really nice to hear from you, and we do wish you great success in your future career in neurosurgery residency and beyond. Yeah, we really do wish you the best. I just want to take this opportunity, as we have students from around the world watching this and so forth. I just want to, we have a very special symposium coming up on January 9th. And this is going to be, we have Dandy Society clubs for medical students all over the world, in every continent in the world. The clubs, all of them together, is doing one activity together as a joint activity. It is going to be women in neurosurgery. It is on January 9th. It's an online webinar. Please feel comfortable to go into the Dandy Club's Facebook or Instagram to get information about that, as this is going to be coming along. We're going to have a special session in which we're going to be inviting a number of female neurosurgeons from different parts of the world at different levels, all the way from residency all the way to being a professor. We're going to ask them questions about the challenges they face in their careers and how they overcame those challenges. This is an important thing. The Dandy Society is dedicated to really helping everyone achieve their dreams. And we do not believe there should be any restrictions for anyone based on their background, ethnic background, cultural background, their sex, their religion. None of this should matter in the field of neurosurgery. We are dedicated in the Dandy Society to open doors for all. So our clubs around the world, the medical students, this is their first joint. They hold webinars for each country. This is the first major webinar that is joint, and we're going to have recommendations that will come out of this webinar that will be there for us to make some changes to make it easier for those who have had it more difficult in entering our beloved specialty. So these are all opportunities that are coming up for all of our students around the world to join and to understand some of the obstacles people have faced to realize their dreams. So this has been a great session. I would like to thank Dr. Burhan for her efforts over the years throughout medical school in Pakistan, what she has done. That is a great example of what we want people to be doing. I would like to thank Andre in the New Mexico City team for the amazing work they're doing during this Congress. I would like to commend Jorge Herrera for this visionary idea of developing this Congress, which has been so tremendously successful. Momentarily, we will be joined by our featured speaker for the afternoon, Professor Roberto Herrera. I'll be introducing him. So at this point, Andre, are we going to go offline for a little bit, or what are we going to do? No problem.